Hey everyone, Paul from Avalon Academy here with a quick one to help you decide if you should incorporate your business. So we're going to walk through a framework, a series of questions that you can ask yourself to decide whether you should incorporate or whether it might be better to run your business as a sole proprietorship. So without further ado, let's jump over to my laptop and let's get into it. All right, so like I mentioned, this is the framework here, and it comes from the 7-Day Business Starter course, which is a course here at Avalon Academy that we use to teach Canadians how to start their business and make their first sale in a process that just takes 7 days. And one of those processes is registering your business. And to help you decide whether or not to incorporate, we built out a set of questions that you can ask yourself to give you a better idea. So we'll start at the start, and we can see on my screen we have questions considering a corporation. So we have 1 through 5, and we have our answers on the right. And then down below, we have questions when considering a sole proprietorship or partnership. And how it works is ask yourself this series of questions. I'll walk you through them all and kind of give you some context about them as well. And the answer is either going to be yes, no, or I'm not sure if you're not sure. And when you answer those, if you answer yes to any of these questions at the top, those lean more towards incorporating your business. And if you answer yes to the bottom questions. But before we get in, I am going to show you there's a little bit of a disclaimer here at the bottom that this is just a guideline to help you decide. It can be a complex decision, so I often recommend reaching out to your accountant or lawyer. But with that being said, these questions are a good place to start so you can get a better idea. So starting at the top, we have, do you plan on building your business into something more than just self-employment? So meaning, do you want to grow it into an enterprise that involves other people, something that maybe you want to step back from and have other people run at some point or even sell? So for me, if I'm building out a business, I am building Avalon Academy, and I definitely want it to be more than just self-employment. So I'm going to choose yes. And as we can see, we've added 1 to the yes column for incorporating. The second question is, does your business have the potential for legal liability? And Avalon Academy probably has some. We're creating courses that some people might rely on to make decisions, and we can add all the disclaimers we want, but there is still the potential that we could be sued or there could be litigation. So I'm going to say yes. We also probably want to look into insurance as well, general liability insurance, but I'm going to write yes here. Question 3, do you expect your business to earn more net income in a given year than you might use personally? I hope so, and let's say I expect so. So I'm going to say yes to that one as well. The idea here is that if you are earning more income than you can use personally in a year, you can actually defer tax by keeping some of that income within the corporation instead of paying it all out to yourself. If you're running a sole proprietorship and you have more income than you can use, there's no real way to defer that. All of that income flows into your personal tax return for the year, whereas in a corporation, you can decide to pay it out as dividends or wages to yourself at a future date, maybe when you're at a lower tax bracket, or if you want to spread out your personal income over a number of years, you can withdraw that money from the company over time. So it can be helpful. I've answered yes to that because I definitely want to have more income in this business than I can use in a given year. Next up, do you plan on or would you like the option of having others to invest in your business? And with a company, you can sell shares, whereas in a sole proprietorship, you're kind of more limited to having people loan you money, and you can maybe set up a profit sharing agreement or pay them interest for them to invest in your business. It's much easier to do in a company. I don't actually know if I want that, so I'm going to say I'm not sure. Nothing changes down here because I didn't answer yes to that question. And then lastly, in the company section, do you plan on selling your business in the future? I don't necessarily. I might want to. With a Canadian controlled private corporation, you have access to this thing called the lifetime capital gains exemption, which will allow you to sell your business at a gain of around $1 million without having to pay any tax. If I had planned on building this business into something that I could sell, I would say yes. I'm not actually sure. I'm going to say I'm not sure, and we'll leave it at that for this question. That's something to think about when you're building a business is it something that you may want to sell in the future, or is it something that you just want to keep with yourself? Out of those 5 questions about incorporating, I've answered yes to 3, and I'm not sure to the other 2. So far, I'm leaning towards incorporation, but let's get into the questions about a sole proprietorship or partnership. Question number 6 on this sheet is the main purpose of your business so that you can be self-employed as opposed to building a business that involves others. And if I was building, let's say Paul's Plumbing, for example, that I just wanted it to be me, it was my own gig that I did instead of a job or as my job, then I would say yes. Avalon Academy is this course business that we're building, and I definitely want it to be bigger than just me. So I'm going to write no to my answer there. Question 7, does the annual upkeep cost of approximately $3,000 outweigh the potential benefits of operating as a corporation? Your company will cost a bit more in upkeep than a sole proprietorship. There'll be a corporate tax return to file and an annual legal filing, as well as some documentation that you might need a lawyer's help from. So between $3,000 and $5,000 is a pretty typical cost to keep a corporation up. In this case, I'm fine with that. I know that I want to build this into something quite significant. So I'm going to say no, that's not an issue for me. If it was, I'd say yes, and my answers might start to balance out a little bit. I'd have 3 in the yes column for incorporating and 3 in the yes column for not incorporating or running it as a sole proprietorship. I'm not worried about the cost there, especially because I'm an accountant. I'm probably going to file my own corporate tax return. So I'll save a couple $1,000 with that. Question 8, do you expect to have significant losses in the first year of the business? With a corporation, you can still claim losses in the business, but they're a little bit harder to use. You are allowed to have a loss in the current year and then carry it forward to be deducted against future income in the corporation. Whereas with a sole proprietorship or partnership, that loss flows through to you or your business partner and it gets claimed on your personal tax return against some of your other income. So you can actually reduce your total taxable income for the year by having a loss in your sole proprietorship or partnership. It's never great because you're still actually losing money. You don't want to do that just for tax savings, but you can deduct losses a little easier outside of a corporation. But for me, I don't plan on having losses in the first year. So I'm going to write no. That's not a consideration for me in this case. Next question, number 9, is simplicity in bookkeeping and taxes a priority for you? Running a corporation adds a layer of complexity. Keeping things within a sole proprietorship or partnership reduces that a little bit. So if that is a significant barrier for you, you'd write yes here and you'd get a yes in the sole proprietorship column. For me, that's a no. So I'm going to write no. And again, you can kind of see where this is leading. Number 10, are you testing the waters for a business concept and unsure about its long-term viability? So if you're really just not sure and you're starting to get something off the ground, you might as well start in the most inexpensive and quickest way possible. And that's by operating it as a sole proprietorship. So if that was me, I would probably use this to overrule any of these other questions until I had more confidence that my business was a viable one. So I'd say yes, and I'd probably say this one yes trumps the others. But for me, in this case, no. I know that it's going to be a viable concept, so I'm going to leave that as no. And as you already saw throughout this whole thing, mostly I'm leaning towards incorporating, which is what I've done. I've incorporated Avalon Academy Inc., and we're operating the business under that entity. If you want to get access to this, down below, there's a link that will take you to a form you can fill out and we'll send you the worksheet in your email. You can use it to help you make a decision. Again, I'd like to stress that please don't solely rely on this and get some advice if you're not sure what to do, whether to incorporate or not. So that does it for this video. I hope that was helpful. I hope you grab a copy of this tool and make an informed decision about whether or not you should incorporate. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.